And it's Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services and our CBSI Talking Business interview series. We talk to leaders in the field of digital marketing, banking, insurance, customer service, and business education, all to highlight our team at CBSI. We're based in Harrison, New York, and we provide insurance-backed benefits to the credit card and payments industry. Now, we are really pleased to have with us today Jason Steele, who is a noted writer about the credit card and the travel industry. He's based in the Denver, Colorado area. Jason, good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Great to be here.
Great to see you. First, tell us a little bit about your writing. You're writing for a number of big publications, Money.com, Forbes. Tell us a little bit about your writing circuit and some of your stories you're going to be highlighting.
Sure. Well, I've been writing about credit cards and travel rewards since 2008. I'm a freelance writer. I write every month. I write a column for Money.com where I review a couple credit cards. I also do a deal of the month. I've just started writing, or actually resumed writing for a couple other great companies out there. Forbes Advisor, Nav writes about business credit cards. Currently writing a piece on travel, the best business cards for travel rewards. I write for Bankrate credit cards and many other outlets. Every month I might write for about a dozen outlets. Very good. And
Jason, you host a terrific credit card media travel meeting convention. You were able to hold your meeting this past November out in your neck of the woods in Denver. Some noted keynote speakers. Tell us about some of the highlights of the event.
Yeah, well, it was a highlight to have the event after going virtual last year. Denver was a great venue. We didn't get any blizzards, and we snuck in before the whole Omicron thing happened. We had Greg Davis-Keene, who writes the Frequent Miler blog, who I've admired for many years. Another blogger, Gary Leff from View from the Wing. He was on stage with David Gold, who's a very noted credit card expert and consultant to many of the major credit card issuers. We had Julia Wooding, who is pretty high up in FICO, and obviously a big part of our conference is about consumer credit. So that was great. It was just a 2-day event, and then we went skiing afterwards. So some of us went up, got some first runs in for the season, and it was just a lot of fun. It was really great to connect with people who many of us hadn't seen each other in almost 2 years.
Absolutely. We remember the terrific convention you had in Washington, D.C. that we had a chance to attend, and you bring together a lot of people and expertise about the travel and the credit card business. Now, just completed the holiday season. Travel was busy. I made a trip to Fort Worth, Texas to cover a bowl game, and the airports were really busy that week before Christmas. What did you see happening in the holiday season in the travel business?
Well, it was a rough time. I mean, I personally had plans to take my family to South Africa, and we had been planning this for a whole year. By early December, we switched gears and went to South Florida instead, because we certainly didn't want to travel to a place where everyone was trying to get out of. And so I think a lot of Americans changed their travel from foreign trips, perhaps they might have booked earlier in the year when travel seemed a bit more safe, to domestic trips, which were safe in many regards, not just from the virus, but from other types of travel disruptions. But even that caught up with them. I mean, certainly we had huge travel disruptions, especially among the Christmas, New Year's time. I was caught up in one where my nice 4 p.m. flight to Florida became a red eye that left near midnight.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, with 3 kids on board, we arrived in Tampa at like 6 a.m, which is not how we wanted to start our vacation. But thankfully, the rest of it went well, and our return flight was even punctual. So it was just, everyone feels powerless, right? There's nothing you can do when the airline says, yeah, the plane's here, but there's nobody to wave it in or pull up the jet bridge because so many of us are out with COVID. Worse, they don't even give you excuses like that sometimes. They just say we're boarding in an hour. 2 hours goes by and you're not boarding, and you don't know why or how. So incredibly frustrating. I've actually trying to tamp down on my travel the next month or two just to let this shake out rather than purposefully kind of dive into the storm.
Well, certainly right around the third week of December, the Omicron variant of COVID started to have a dramatic impact, and airlines were affected by, as many other industries, by just employee shortages, people who were out sick or and not able to work, cut some of the fleets of airlines. I know Southwest talked about that, having being a reason for substantial cuts in flight. How did you see the industry react to all of the flight cancellations in late December?
I could say the industry acted poorly without actually putting blame on the individuals who, when their colleagues are out, are working extra hard. Certainly, I wouldn't blame the frontline airline employees, but the industry itself was probably a little bit over aggressive in scheduling. They under communicate when there are delays and problems, and the airline industry really doesn't have a good reputation for customer service among American travelers, and it's for good reason. So many simple things they could do. Not every airline has a callback. So when Southwest tells me my flight is delayed, I have to sit on hold for 2 hours to attempt to reschedule or anything. When I ask them why it's delayed, they don't have an answer. I understand you're short-staffed, I understand you're having problems, but these are things that don't cost much money or any money at all. To call to give a callback option or to cite some reason for the delay that makes sense. So airline industry has a lot of work to do, in my opinion, to improve the customer experience.
And what you said about your thought about deferring travel early this year, I think is mindset of a lot of people. How do you see the business travel segment returning? Is it all really dependent on the this latest COVID variant diminishing?
Absolutely. I mean, look, the title sponsor for my card convention in November was the Frontier Airlines MasterCard, which is issued by Barclays. Frontier, being here in Denver, sent a few people down the road to the event. Barclays sent one person. That's because the company had a company-wide travel ban, essentially. And, I can't fault them for that. There's a lot of people who for various reasons don't want to be traveling right now. And companies are not, they don't want to put their people at risk. They don't want to ask their people to travel if they don't want to be. And that makes sense for this environment. My greatest hope is that we can get to somewhere like where we were in early June of last year, where COVID numbers are way, way down. They didn't stay down. Delta came by the end of June, Delta variant. But maybe the Omicron variant, we can all wish that we're reaching the peak now, that'll have a precipitous decline. And by spring, the overall infection numbers will be way down, and businesses will feel comfortable sending people to travel again. Because a lot of individuals feel comfortable. I mean, the airport's packed, but it's the large corporations that don't feel that it's responsible to send their people on business trips.
Yeah. As I said, the week before Christmas, when I traveled from New York down to Dallas, airports were very busy, and but we certainly would like to see business travel get back somewhat closer to what it had been, and certainly to help the convention industry be able to hold their events. Now, one of the things that you're an experienced international traveler, and that's another daunting level to travel during COVID, about being able to show vaccination records, other health records. Have you found any systems or passports that are being well accepted for international travel?
No, I mean, frankly, it's a patchwork. It's a kludge. It's a minefield out there for international travelers. I wish it were better, but we had this trip to South Africa, and it was very unclear to us how we were supposed to get tested, because we had lengthy layovers along the way. So by the time we actually reached South Africa, it would have been many days since our test results were valid. According to the letter of the rule, that would have worked, because all we had to do was take a test before we left, within, I think, 72 hours of leaving. But I had very little confidence that airline officials along the way would read the letter of the rule and accept our valid test results that were at that point several days old. So every country has different standards, protocols. Some countries have quarantine, some don't. These rules change all the time. There's very little reliable information out there. You have to be patient, you have to be persistent, you have to be detail oriented, and sometimes lucky, because I've heard countless tales of people encountering airline staff that misreads the rules. So you've read the rules correctly, they read the rules incorrectly, and they deny you boarding. And the rules are unbelievably complex, so it's not even all their fault, really. It's a tough time to be traveling internationally to many destinations. Other destinations, I mean, Mexico, Canada, some of those are pretty easy. Europe, I've known people to go there, but a lot of destinations are not making it easy. I mean, you could look at the famous case of Novak Djokovic. He I'm sure shares some blame there, but certainly it was a very complicated situation by anyone's account.
Certainly. Whenever I encountered, I traveled at an early flight out of LaGuardia Airport in New York going to Dallas, and there were 500 people waiting in line at 5:45 in the morning to go through the new TSA checkpoint. How do you feel the TSA security is handling the new influx of travelers right now?
Well, it's hard because leisure travelers, who are disproportionate compared to 2 years ago, are generally not experienced travelers. They show up at the checkpoints. They might not have their ticket and their ID out. They might get to the line and not know the procedures. They get to I've seen people unpacking their bags on the conveyor belt, repacking them, things like that. The airports also have to do their part. Here in Denver, they totally reorganized all the security checkpoints to put TSA pre-check on one side and non-pre-check on another. And they showed me some data that shows that it's very beneficial. So different airports are working better with the TSA than others. But for travelers, I strongly recommend you get both pre-check and the Clear program, both of which are available now commonly as credit card benefits. Pre-check and Global Entry have been a credit card benefit on many cards, and now the Amex Platinums have the Clear benefit. When I use both of those, I never really have to spend more than 5 minutes in line. It's often just a few seconds.
Yeah, so important. Good point on that, on Clear and pre-check now becoming a credit card benefit. Very, very valuable. Hey, let's just talk a little bit about the credit card side. You spend a fair amount of time on and touch maybe a little bit on fintechs. What are some of the things that you see happening in the credit card space? How has the pandemic changed the types of offers and benefits that are appealing to credit card customers?
Yeah, I mean, the credit card industry right now, in my opinion, is booming. You still have a lot of card issuers competing to offer the most generous rewards to the card members. Now, what you do see is people using leisure personal cards for leisure spending, just like they do with travel. Some people are not traveling and they want cash back. So there's a shuffling going on. People are canceling some cards and looking into other cards. And it's an uncertain time for card issuers. They just know that that consumer spending is up, that people are applying for new credit cards, and each one wants their share of the market.
And it's the card business is so different from when I worked at a bank in card marketing, and there were huge mailings of credit card offers, of pre-approved apps and long form apps. How are the major banks, in your view, attracting new credit card customers? Is the internet, social media working for them?
Well, they still get mailers. I still receive them, but I'm sure the percentage of new accounts acquired that way has gone down. In my field, writing about credit cards, we make money from affiliate marketing. So, I write an article, the outlet inserts a link to the application. The reader clicks on that link, is approved for a new card, and the outlet I write for makes a commission. And that's a very effective form of marketing. If you don't have to pay on the hopes that people are approved for new cards. You only pay when they're approved for new cards. So the card issuers like that. There's also general public marketing, things like that. They're starting to leverage their relationships, their retail banking. So you'll see the large retail banking companies tying their products into their credit cards. And that, I think the credit card line promotes the retail banking line. The retail banking line promotes the credit card line. And so we're finally starting to see some integration on that level, which I think is the future, really, that each side is valuable. And if you can keep your customers, your credit card customers as retail bank customers and the other way around, you capture a larger portion of their business.
And certainly spending on the holiday season was up. CEO of MasterCard yesterday was talking about sales being up about 8% and 11% online. Certainly that's been growth. And one of the areas that's been everybody's talking about are the buy now, pay later offers that retailers, both online and stores, are offering. And MasterCard said they're fine embracing that. They have capability on that. What do you see happening with the buy now, pay later? Is that something that's helping the banks, or is that competition?
It's both. I mean, it's a segment that I think probably doesn't want to apply for credit cards or to have the temptation of the credit card. It's a certain segment that might not even be directly competing with credit cards. So I think credit card users are generally going to keep using their credit cards, but it might bring in other new customers. And if banks want to get in on that segment, that's good for them. Other people will realize that credit cards have many values and purposes beyond merely offering a loan. Obviously there's rewards, there's benefits, there's the fact that you don't even have to apply every time, you just swipe your card. I think there's some element of maybe a fad. I think we'll see some growth in that, but that growth will level out and it'll just become another segment of the retail lending market. And there's nothing, I don't see that as inherently good or bad for credit card issuers. I think the bulk of their transaction volume will remain on the cards, and to the extent that they dive into that market, they might acquire new customers eventually. But I don't think the customer who does a buy now, pay later is necessarily someone who is choosing between that and applying for a new credit card.
Sure. And Jason, maybe just a final question. You follow the fintech industry very closely for a number of years, and what we're hearing from some of the community banks in particular is using fintech capability to try to stay competitive with the big multi-state national banks. What do you see happening in the fintech industry right now?
Yeah, I haven't seen the community bank angle. What we did at CardCon this year is I just found that I was almost at the center of a whole wave of new fintech apps that were coming out that were designed to help people optimize their rewards. So at CardCon, we had a fintech or a credit card app showcase. It wasn't a contest, but we showcased several apps. For example, one of the apps that I'm currently consulting with is called UThrive, and it allows cardholders to kind of organize their credit cards, look at how much rewards they're earning, look at what could be earned, and find the card that makes the most sense for them at any particular retailer, even geolocates where you are. So with a couple taps, you can see, I want to use this card, not that card, to earn the most reward. So there's several competing apps in that field that we showcased, and clearly, this groundswell of interest in these credit card reward maximization apps is something to look for in the coming year.
Very good. That's a great point. And Jason Steele, now known as the Steele Team, jasonsteele.com. Just remind our audience some of the publications that you're going to be appearing in this year and some of the topics that you're planning to write about.
Sure. I'm writing about credit cards and travel rewards for money.com, for Lantern by SoFi, for Forbes Advisor, for NAV. I write about business credit cards. Bankrate credit cards is also creditcards.com. I write occasionally for Business Insider. Just a lot of anyone who needs me, I try to offer some great content to.
Well, you do a great job covering both credit card, travel field, and just remind our audience about. I know you're starting to formulate plans for your conference this fall.
Yeah, we are. We haven't chosen a date or location yet. I hope to have that in the next month. You know, things were pretty up in the air last year, and thankfully we were able to hold a great event. And I wanted to see how that came off before I began the planning process for 22. Well, now I'm in that planning process, and in the next month, look for an announcement. You know, everyone says they want someplace warm, and I like to hold it someplace kind of central, so it's neither coast has to fly all the way across the country. So that kind of narrows it down a little bit, and we'll see what the best venue turns out to be.
Okay, Jason Steele out there in Denver, Colorado, can be reached at jasonsteele.com. Quite often posting on LinkedIn and Twitter. What's your Twitter handle again?
At realjasonsteele.com.
Okay, very good. So readers can follow you there. And Jason, just always a pleasure to talk with you, and Happy New Year.
Great to talk with you as well. Take care.
Our pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services and CBSI Talking Business. We're based in Harrison, New York, and we provide insurance-based benefits to the credit card industry. Great to see you, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.